Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to talk about the overall crypto market and kind of the overall sentiment. We're going to talk about as to why everybody's bearish for some reason, even though Bitcoin's at like 67, 68K, which is nuts. We're going to talk about a lot of the recent headlines. We're going to kind of just shotgun through all the different headlines just to kind of give you a reminder and just kind of give the overall thoughts on where we are at currently in the market and kind of how I see it, right? So this isn't a crazy video, do this, buy that. It's more of just my overall thoughts and where we're at, right? So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get to this thing. So currently BTC is at 67.5. So ultimately it is starting to go down. We're holding that 68, went up to just about 70 recently. And we've just been hovering realistically between like 65 and 70. Right? It's just a lot of choppy sideways action, which is expected, right? Wouldn't be too surprised if we do retrace. We'll see, especially with the overall sentiment. But again, guys, just a reminder, zoom out. Man, everybody's so caught up in the short-term nonsense. Think long-term, okay? Again, even just going from where we have gone to where we are now, it's insane. Right, just a year and a half ago, we were in the teens. Crypto's going to zero after the FTX fiasco. And look at us now. We are now at 67K. Okay, and people are freaking bearish. So a couple of thoughts here. One is everybody has different conceptions, thoughts, ideas, predictions of where we are at in the market. Everybody's viewpoint is completely different, mine included. Okay. Mine is very different. Mine, to me, we have been in the bull market since January of 23. Okay, which is very contrary to typical viewpoints. Most people are like, oh, we're not in the bull market until after the halving, after we break all-time highs, or not even. Some people still aren't convinced. Some people think we are still definitely 100% in a bear market, and it's not until maybe the end of this year once we reach 100K or something, right? So people have different viewpoints, different targets. My viewpoint from the beginning is essentially once the lows are confirmed, the bull market has started, right? So like in my eyes, since down here, when the lows are confirmed back in like December, once January hit, we started this upward trend. To me, my opinion, we've been in a bull market since then, okay? And what I base a lot of that off of is just the simple fact that especially for the top like 50, 100 alts, a lot of the gains have already been had, right? And this isn't something that's specific to this cycle. Looking at previous cycles, looking at alts, even though typically, you know, the bullish action doesn't start until sometime this fall, September, October, November. Even if you look at the previous cycles with the alts, a lot of the gains were had prior to then. From that point, a lot of them hit anywhere from, you know, a 4 to 10x, but like those immense gains, the 10, 15, 20 plus X's were had before then, right? So that's why, to me, my viewpoint from the get-go and why I went so hard when I did and why I continue to go hard was that we were already in the bull market. Like the lows were potentially in, like even in December when I was doing videos back then, kind of saying the same thing. Our viewpoint was that if we aren't at the lows, we're close enough where the risk to reward is pretty freaking good. Okay, because at 16, 17K, even if it went down to 13K, 12K, 10K, the upside potential was still immense, right? If it went down another 5K, who really cares when you're predicting that it's going to go well over 100K? Okay, and that was our mindset back then. With alts, it was a little bit trickier. We weren't sure if the bottom was in. When there were certain price points, we felt good about it. We went in with coins that we were already following, right? We've had a game plan from the beginning, right? Did all those goal videos, the beginning of the year overall goal videos. So our strategy was clear and we just did our strategy, right? We're not doing anything crazy complicated or doing all this. It's just stack the coins that we have high conviction in. Now things are changing a little bit because, like I said, a lot of the gains kind of already been had. So that's why the people have been asking me, oh, are you getting any? So to me, it needs to be below like 50 bucks for me to add anymore, right? It's already ran up so much. I have no interest. I had interest back when it was low. We were talking about it back in like December, January. That's when I added a ton, right? And we did DCA a little bit more since then. But ever since like 50, 60 bucks, definitely not adding. Again, a lot of the gains, in my opinion, with Sol have already been had, right? So if I didn't have as much Sol as I do already, I would consider adding more, right? But I'm happy with the allocation. I set goal amounts for all of the major alts, all of those. Once I hit those, it's on to the next one, create the next bag, and then kind of yearly just or quarterly just kind of readjust, reevaluate. Like, do I want to add another allocation or add more to that one? And it just depends on the coin, right? Like Solana was a big gainer. Near was another one that did well. Again, we added down here. We've been up here and we've been doing well, right? And it's been the case with a lot of them. Certain ones have overperformed, right? And they've done better than what I was expecting, which is a good thing. And there are still some that I want to add, like depending on how things go, like I still am DCing a little bit more to AVAX just because I didn't hit that goal. That's out of the top like 50 alts. That's one that I didn't get enough. I'm happy with what I have, but I didn't meet that goal. I'm still trying to reach that goal, right? But realistically, it's kind of a hard add just because I don't necessarily seeing it going above like a 4 to 5x, which again is still extremely good, but it's just, to me, there's still other coins that have more potential, right? And then there are coins that we did also miss, right? Like Render is one that's essentially like a meme for me because it's one we talked about over and over again. Like, I'm going to wait for the dip. I'm going to wait for the dip. And that dip just never happened. It just kept going up, right? So even like back here when it was pumping, where I thought it was going to go lower, right? It was at like $1.80 over here in the summer. And it dipped down to like the $1.30, $1.40. And I was convinced it was still going to go like below $1. So I was like waiting. And then even up here, when it went up to $2, $2.25, I was like, man, no, it's going to go down. It did retrace a bit. And I was like, okay, it's going to go down. And then what happened? It just kind of kept going up, right? And this is one that I definitely missed. It wasn't just Render. Render's the one I've just talked about the most. There are other coins there too, right? So you have to kind of get in that mindset of where things may potentially be, right? Versus where getting the absolute bottom, because realistically, like, the price going down another 10, 15, 20%, is it really that big of a deal when you think there's so much more potential? Not really. So that was definitely one thing I definitely goofed up on a lot of cases, right? And even to this day, right, there's are times where it has helped and times where it was more of a hindrance, right? So the overall strategy is just DCA, right? And when those opportunities do arise, because now again, when we have these crazy pumps and these crazy dumps, like I've mentioned before, it does give us a lot of these data points to see like where the lows were, right? Like we know where low prices were, which again was like the beginning of 23 or December, or even as recently as this past October, right? A lot of those price points were pretty close to some of the lows with alts, right? So we have the data, we have the knowledge, and we just have to see from there. So that's why like my viewpoint as far as like when the bull market started, it's been ever since the lows were in, right? So it's kind of been my viewpoint. Everybody has their own. I'm not trying to like say that, oh, that's the way, that's just the way I view things, right? So just giving another viewpoint, another perspective there for any of you guys who are interested. So another big thing to understand, I know mining in general, especially GPU mining is dead, it's over. Just want to give you a reminder that that was also the same sentiment pretty much all of 2023, especially the beginning of 2023. But for those of you guys who were in it, or even if you weren't in it, you were watching people's content, we've covered this over and over. Those were the best times to mine. Okay, when it was break even, or sometimes some of them were at a loss. I don't like mining at a loss. If it's a slight loss, a couple cents, I'll do it. But if it's a significant loss, which at the time, back in like January 23, a lot of them were. So for me, I was buying more than anything. Okay, a little bit after that, back in the springtime is when I started mining again. But at the time, that's the time to be accruing these things. That should be kind of like an indicator that those are some of the lows, right? Especially if it's a sustained downtrend, kind of like where things are at right now, where it's break even or better, and it's been that way for a while. A lot of the people stopped mining it, so yield did kind of go up. Those are good bottom indicators that it's time to get in and get some of those coins, whether it's through yield, whether it's buying outright, just depending on your thing, right? I know some of you guys have high electric rates, so it's definitely at a loss. So don't waste that knowledge though, right? We've seen what a lot of these GPU mineable coins have done, even the more promising ones, even the more ones that have been there for quite a while, right? We know what they can potentially do. We know what they have done. And even coins that aren't so freaking good, right? There's a lot of coins that we bought and mined last year that long-term wise were not holds, but they were a means to get a potential pump just because the market cap was so tiny. So it's a means to get to the coins you do want, right? They have that giga pump, they have that big pump. I sold a lot of them. A lot of the ones I were not high conviction plays, sold a lot and either bought the coins I did want or hardware, right? So for example, one of the big notable ones we all know about is kaspa. If you bought any during that time, like early 23 or prior to then, like I bought my bag in like November, October, those were the times to get in. These boring times were down here when it was, oh, GPU mining's dead, oh, it's stupid to get in, you're wasting your time. Those should be those indicators, right? And same thing with just the story goes over and over, right? Even Lithium is a much more recent example, because just as recently as freaking October, again, the price was in the teens, bros. Even right now, like, oh, Lithium is dying, it's dead. It's a 10x or over a 10x in some cases from where it was like 6-7 months ago. Okay, and it's a coin that does have extreme potential, especially with the ASICs eventually coming. A lot of things here, right? So I know that's the overall sentiment. Again, the difference kind of now is that these were coins that showed promise, right? So it's a little bit different now also, I will say, because there aren't as many coins. A lot of them are definitely more shit coins, but again, they can be a means to accruing some of the coins you do believe in, right? Or even just the fact the more established coins are also break even or better, right? We have like the Fluxes, the Ergos, the Ravens, etc. Okay, but again, even the shit coins did fairly well. Alot, I will say, does have use case. It actually does have utility. Like their marketplace is actually fully functioning, which is kind of funny because it's way more functioning than some of the bigger ones, but it's a whole nother debate there. But again, you can see here during these boring times, this was the time to yield, to accrue, to buy, and these are the times to sell, right? And again, even small coins that people don't really, like I'm sure the majority of you guys don't even know anything about XNA, but you guys are just mining it because of the market cap, and that's fine, right? Because again, if you buy any down here, even like $100, if the thing does a 15 to 20x, which it did, you sell. That's more hardware, or that's money you can put into the next 10x, into the next 10x, and just keep kind of rolling that over. And that was kind of our strategy. So again, right now during these like boring times when the sentiment, especially in the mining community, is super easy to see it because y'all a bunch of crybabies. And that's what it is, right? Let it be that way. Let everybody be doom and gloom about it, like, ah, oh, it's over, it's dead. Sell me your 30, 70, $50? I will take them all day over here, right? So it depends on your viewpoint, depends on your perspective, and I get it, right? I get it. It does suck kind of sing that. And it's very dependent on your strategy also. Again, mine is mining and hodling. So again, whether it's making a nickel or 10 cents a day or $5-7 a day, it's the same freaking thing for me, right? Because again, I'm not selling until we either have a gigapump or sometime in 2025, just depending on the coin, right? GPU mining is a little bit different for me now because again, the majority of the coins now aren't long-term holds, with the exception of like the Fluxes, Ergo, etc. So it is a little bit different there, but again, the potential is still there, right? We're seeing a repeat of what happened this time last year. Okay, is it going to happen again for sure? We don't know. I'm comfortable with playing my odds, right? So it's up to you to decide. I'm not trying to sell you or say, oh, GPU mining's the best. It's totally up to you, right? At the end of the day, the reason my strategy is break even or better is because I'm essentially just DCAing into that coin, right? Even if it's just making 50 cents profit a day, that's getting a discount on that DCA. Even if you don't like that coin, remember guys, you can also sell these coins and buy something else. You can use unminable, you can use NiceHash. It's a way to get what you want. It's a way to add more coins. It's a way to add more tokens. Okay? And then you can write off the electric, right? So it's even better than just typical DCAing. Okay? So it just depends on your strategy, especially for those of you guys who have existing hardware. I get the frustration with like adding more hardware right now because I'm at that point also, right? To me, there's better value kind of elsewhere at the moment. But for those of you guys who have existing cards and it's break even or have a decent electric rate, I can understand for you guys with like 15+ kilowatt hour electric rates, but those of you guys with decent rates and are kind of like bearish just because it's making 50 cents, $1 a rig or something, just make sure you understand that, right? Because this is exactly what we saw last time. And as we saw that, and now, like I've said before, this is going to be the most profitable time to mine. It is going to be more profitable to mine now and mine last year than it's going to be in the bull market. Because then what's going to happen in the bull market if anything does pump, which I don't think anything's going to pump, like it's not going to be like the ETH days, right? But as soon as things do take off, what's going to happen? People are going to come out of the woodwork. Yield is going to go down. This is as good as it's going to get for yield. Okay, same, especially last year. Last year was the time to be mining. Last year specifically, after the ETH merge, that whole year, that was the best time to mine. Okay, if you're mining and hodling, that's those coins that you made during that time, that's going to be the most profit you're going to make, even probably into the bull market. Okay, unless, you know, we do get another Bitcoin, which at this point, we're kind of running out of time. If a new coin were to pop off and take off, it would have to be one that's debuting now, because again, it does take time for it to mature, for us to see value in it, etc., etc. But just depends on your strategy, right? Just wanted to give a reminder of the repeat that we're kind of potentially having here again, right? So let's get to some of these headlines now. We're just going to shotgun through these headlines. It's just kind of reminders of what's going on, right? Here's one. Here was a big game changer. Trump now accepts Bitcoin donations, so like crypto donations, which was a big thing, right? He kind of got that question at that press conference, and that's what kind of like skyrocketed everything. I think especially once he saw like how much he got donated to, that's what made him like ultra bullish and kind of made him the crypto president, right? Or candidate, I should say, which is bullish, right? Because this is now a major candidate. We've all seen with like RFK and stuff. RFK realistically doesn't have a very good chance of actually winning, though, right? So versus Trump realistically does, and he is definitely going after the crypto vote, and he's going to get it, right? At this point, we saw what the Dems have been doing and how that struggle's going. If you're pro crypto, I think it's fairly clear as to where you may want to vote, right? So like Trump posts, our country must be the leader in the crypto field, right? So it's crazy bullish, definitely got pilled. We'll see what happens there. Here's another big headline. The Ethereum ETFs have been approved. They're not live yet, might be a few months before they're live, but just the fact that they are approved, bros. And altcoin, it was big enough getting Bitcoin approved. Like that was on the list. Oh man, it might happen, we might get one of those. But not only did we get Bitcoin, we now have a major altcoin that got approved, right? This is pretty massive. And this one was probably political because, again, just a week prior to it, did not look good for it passing. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, oh, here it's approved. Kind of sketchy. But at the end of the day, who freaking cares? It got approved. It's here. Bullish, right? Next, this is pretty crazy one. So BlackRock takes the crown for the largest spot Bitcoin ETF from Grayscale. So they did now surpass Grayscale. Grayscale has been like outflowing from the get-go, and now BlackRock has officially taken the crown. It's crazy. It's crazy that we're even here to this point, right? It's been a massive success. It's been doing extremely, extremely well. Okay. Next one. So because of this ETF, now it kind of gave the green light for everybody to jump in, right? BlackRock putting in their application for the ETF kind of gave the black light to everybody else putting the application, and now the ETF approval, everybody's kind of jumping in. And again, as other people, other entities, other companies, other states see this, is just going to continue to grow, right? State of Wisconsin buys nearly $100 million worth of BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF. Bullish, man. Here's another one. This is the beauty also with crypto, is that it's not just a US thing, it's not just a domestic thing or tied to one country. It is a global asset that is getting adoption globally. Insane, bros. It's not even just companies or pension funds, it's freaking countries, man. So Argentina to collaborate with El Salvador in adopting Bitcoin, because again, they've been seeing the success with El Salvador. People want to replicate it. Even freaking Trump, right? There was an article saying that he was looking into the possibility of somehow leveraging Bitcoin to help pay off the debt. Insane. Next. So this is more on the global expansion side, right? So even mining is expanding well beyond where it's at. Because again, realistically, they're chasing those renewable sources and they're chasing the cheap energy, right? So Bitcoin miner Marathon Digital signs deal with Kenya to invest in green energy products, right? So this is something that can benefit both parties, right? Cheap energy and then helping add to their infrastructure, add to their electric grid, which is huge, right? This is a huge, huge thing. And again, they're going to go wherever the renewables, wherever the cheap energy is, right? Kenya, we've seen in El Salvador using the volcanoes. We've seen in Paraguay has been a big one using the hydro energy. We saw even back in the China days when they were taking over, when they had the majority of the hash rate, using the hydroelectricity, right? It's cheap, renewable, so it's kind of a win-win here, right? And this is kind of why that narrative of Bitcoin, wasting so much energy on this stuff is going to slowly fade away. It's already beginning to fade away, right? Especially with BlackRock kind of taking over a bit. But people are going to really see the truth that we've been trying to say for like years, right? Because realistically, they want the cheapest energy. What is the cheapest energy going to be in many cases? Renewables, right? Which is green energy, right? So another big thing here. Let's keep going down. So this is another one with the ETF. So healthcare tech company shares surged 27% after announcing plans to buy Bitcoin with cash reserves. So it's a medical device maker, Semler Scientific, just because they announced that. Which again, in crypto world, 27% is like, oh man, that's pretty good. In TradFi, that's pretty freaking huge, right? So what's going to happen here? Other companies are also going to see this and they're going to replicate it, right? So again, more on the adoption front. Okay, and this is not just a US thing with US companies doing this, right? Here's another one. This is in Japan. Metaplanet shares soars. Japanese firm mimics MicroStrategy on buying Bitcoin. Okay, they did a similar thing, and this was back in April. Okay, so that's what started it, and same thing. Their stock rose 90 freaking percent after adding 6.5 million in Bitcoin to its balance sheet. Okay, so what did they do? A month later, they added more. Okay, added another $7.7 million worth. Okay, so it's just, this is a trend that's going to continue. And again, the beauty here is that it's a global asset. This is worldwide. This isn't just tied to the US or our little economy or some other country's economy. This is a global situation, right? Adding even more to the scarcity factor. And then now on the regulation front. Okay, I didn't even think that we were going to get, that was another one that was kind of on the wish list, that hey, maybe we'll also get the beginnings of regulation sometime before the end of the bull market. It's already happening now. U.S. House approves Crypto Fit 21 bill with wave of Democratic support. And this was a big one, right? For them to kind of come to agree on both sides, not just on the Republican side, but like both, like this, that to me is kind of a bigger deal, considering that just not many things are getting passed recently, just because everything's so freaking divided. Right, so more bullish news, okay? And even more onto that, that's not the only thing that's been passed, right? The House passes anti-CBDC bill to prevent Chinese-style surveillance of America, right? So even more regulation, even more people talking about it, more politicians learning about it, whether they like it or not. Okay, at this point, it's coming, it's here. You need to adapt. You need to learn about it. You need to understand what's going on. Right, it's gonna already playing a huge factor in the election, and we're still extremely early on. Okay, so insanely bullish. Let's keep going. Chainlink up 10% after Chainlink booms amid Swift payments update. Ethereum ETF rush. So again, a big thing here is just adoption and more intertwining with TradFi, which again, people have their different opinions on. But if you're into a number go up, which I am, these are kinds of things you want to see. Right, and it's like adoption's going to be here whether you like it or not. Big banks are coming in, and this is why I'm such a big proponent as to why this may be like the mother of all the pumps. Okay, might be a huge thing, and it may potentially be one of the last ones, right? Things may change with so much money now coming in, right? So many, if you thought the manipulation was bad before, now we have the TradFi bros, we have nations coming in, like it's just bananas, right? It's hard to even like really fathom and to like understand fully the extent of it. And we're not even we're still a ways away from the real bull market, right? It's It's insane, bros, right? And then here's even more for the adoption front. Payments giant Stripe re-enters crypto with USDC on Ethereum, Solana, and Polygon. And this is more on the adoption front, right? Initially, people are saying this like, why is that a big deal? Adoption, 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 specifically with these networks, right? And you can add AVAX. AVAX was also added to this. Why? It's because a lot of dApps, games, things onboarding, getting normies in. Especially for me, like a big narrative is going to be Web3 gaming. Buying skins, tokens, the coins. Having this integration now makes it super easy for anybody with a credit card, debit card, bank account, whatever, to just buy these tokens, buy these skins, and increase adoption into that network, right? You can make a Web3 crypto game and people not even realize that it's a crypto game or a blockchain-based game. Why? Because in a sense, people kind of already understand, right? Like, for example, my son, big into Fortnite, been into Fortnite forever. So for him, the crypto concept, super easy to understand because this is essentially already live there, right? For like Fortnite, for example, you have to have what? You have to buy V-Bucks, you have to use your credit card, add V-Bucks to your account so you can buy these skins. Same exact concept what's going on here. The difference is that you're actually going to be able to own these things. Okay, so this is going to increase adoption, and in some cases without people even really realizing it, right? You're going to be able to have these marketplaces like ownership. Like that's the big thing. Even if, whether play to earn, play and earn, everybody has their things on this, but even just this alone, even just the fact that you'd be able to buy skins, own the skins, sell the skins if you want, that in itself is going to be a huge game changer and a huge like revenue maker for a lot of these companies, right? They're going to be able to take percentages off of each individual sale. And these are the types of things infrastructure wise that need to be in place for these things to happen, right? Because, you know, it's going to be hard for a parent who's not into crypto to try to like make a Coinbase account and learn addresses and how to send crypto. It's going to be a lot easier. Hey mom, let me get your credit card. Let me buy some of these shrapnel tokens, strap tokens, right? Which is actually one of the ones who already started. You can go on their website and now buy them through credit card directly natively on the site and add strap tokens just like that. You don't even have to go to a DEX. You don't have to go to a SEX. You don't have to do anything. You can buy it directly from there now. Okay, and these are key adoption things that we need to see. We need to see in place. Okay, and again, all the groundwork is getting laid down. So I know some of these headlines are like, why is that a big deal? That's why it's a big deal. Okay, and here's another one that's big on the same front. PayPal's also entering. They've already entered, but now they're increasing to Solana, which again, they're just going to keep adding networks as they get more bullish, right? Again, for the adoption front, it's going to make it easier to spend, to use that crypto for anything, right? PayPal's used at so many places. You can now potentially use your crypto to buy things now. We're getting to that point. Like yesterday, we went to the movies with AMC. You can use BitPay. Yes, you can use freaking crypto to buy freaking movie tickets to the movie theater. Like, we are getting to that point. It's insane. I know sometimes we see these headlines and you can like, why is that a big deal? It's adoption, bros. Adoption, adoption, adoption. Getting these normies to get in without even realizing they're using crypto, right? That's going to be a huge, huge narrative. And that's why why I was so big and have been so big on like Solana and AVAX, because that's been their big thing. Their user interface, it's very seamless, very quick, very fast, very easy to use. Okay, so that's why like a big narrative for you guys who watch those goals videos, any of those things, is adoption. I think adoption is going to be huge, and we've already been seeing it, right? I did not even think that we were going to get like this ETF and like big bank adoption already, and that already happened, right? So it's crazy. Here was another crazy headline that happened recently. And so Hedera jumps 130% amid BlackRock confusion. So kind of the point here is that, in case you haven't noticed, Larry Fink, BlackRock, is going to be like the Elon of this cycle, right? So like last cycle, it was Elon. As soon as he posted anything about crypto or Doge, Bitcoin, you know, Tesla accepting Bitcoin, moved the market massively. It's going to be BlackRock and the big banks this cycle, right? Which we've already seen and we're continuing to see. And he was just another example of that. Okay, it's insane, bros, right? So I know it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff to sink in, but it's just kind of a reminder as to where we're at, what's going on, and why it's like kind of mind-blowing that so many people are so bearish right now, considering everything going on, not just here domestically in the US, but globally, right? And this is just a small fraction of what's going on. There's so many things going on, guys. So much potential. So many people are missing out again because like, oh, well, we're not in the bull market yet, or even they wanted to wait until we broke all-time highs and all that to really start getting in. Like we had mentioned earlier, a lot of the big gains were had already. There are still a lot of gains to be had. It just gets harder as time goes on, right? Because the prices have been going up, but there is still a time to get in, or I was gonna say a lot of time, but realistically, there isn't a lot of time for those huge gainers, right? We are still gonna see like 2, 3, 5x's from some of these top alts, but it's just gonna get a little bit trickier as time goes on, right? So hopefully things play in our favor. Again, we don't know. This thing can all go to zero. Toshi can move Bitcoin out of his wallet and we're all screwed. Who freaking knows? But to me, all the signs are there, right? Even more so than when I've done other I'm so bullish kind of videos, right? It's exceeded my expectations. Like at this point, it's like I mentioned, it is so hard to be bearish right now, guys. Like I know sometimes the sentiment may be that way. You'll say, oh, the negative stuff, oh, GPU mining's dead and all this nonsense. But just zoom out, look what's happening, and look into the future, right? So it's up to you to decide on what you do here. I'm not here to sell you crap. It's up to you. I'm just sharing how I'm seeing the market and why I'm still so freaking bullish, okay? Let me know you guys' thoughts, guys. Where are you guys at? You guys kind of feeling the same way? You guys kind of feeling FOMO? Do you kind of feel like you missed a lot of things just because you were sitting on the sidelines? Let me know how you guys are feeling. Let me know what your guys' sentiment is. Do you guys kind of feel the same way? Are you guys seeing it? I know sometimes you guys may not see it as much just because we get all the comments directly, so it's a little bit easier in a sense for us to see the sentiment, but let me know how you guys are feeling, how you guys are doing. Thank you for watching, guys. I seriously do appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you guys saw value, please consider subscribing, guys. It does help the smaller channels out. But thanks again for watching, guys. And I am out.